Dyer Rogers, and I'm here with Jim Campbell, a glass blower and owner of Wellsprings Art Glass here at the Kearney Heritage Park. Jim, I understand you're into glass blowing. How did you ever get into it?
Well, on my 25th anniversary, my wife and I came by the park here. I was on my way to my very first drawing and painting art lesson. And I saw a sign out front that said glass blowing studio and gallery. And I said to my wife, Deanna, what's that? Let's go check that out. And we walked back here and sat with the previous artist and watched him blow some glass. And about a year later, I took a couple lessons, and then I went back to school at Palomar College and studied glass blowing. And that's how I got started.
Besides the obvious artistic parts, I'm sure there's some chemistry and physics involved in glass blowing. Can you explain it to me?
Well, glass is melted with mostly silica sand, but also because the high temperature required to melt it, you have to add fluxes that melt it at a lower temperature and other elements that make it more workable and longer lasting.
Besides blowing through a tube, how many other different ways are there to mold and shape glass?
Well, we use glass blowing on a blowpipe, actually, not a tube. And we use molds that have fins in them that create indentations and move the color around. We use tweezers, we manipulate them by hand, knives, all sorts of things to manipulate the color once we start with the piece.
Can you tell me some of the history of glass blowing? When did it start and how?
Well, glass blowing's been around for quite a long time, and thousands of years. And I'm not really sure. I don't think anyone knows exactly how it happened, but they did start making pieces, and they have collectible pieces that are thousands of years old.
I understand you teach classes here at the park. How long have you been teaching them?
Well, I've been teaching classes for about 3 years here since I took over the shop, and I teach beginning and intermediate glass blowing classes.
Can you show me how to make something out of glass?
Yes, I can.
Start with a blowpipe. It's a stainless steel blowpipe. And we'll gather out of the furnace. This is a furnace with a crucible or a pot of molten glass. Glass is currently at 2,100 degrees. This is called the first gather. I'll take that on my marber table here and roll some of it off the end. I'm going to add some color into this. It's called frit. This is just an amber colored frit, large chunks of broken glass. The glass sticks to the hot molten glass, and then I'll melt that glass in. I'm reheating or melting this in the glory hole. The glory hole is 2,100 or 2,400 degrees when it's completely hot. So I roll that kind of symmetrical, and then I can take my newspaper, since the end is a little out of shape, and I'll just grab that right in my hand and use that to shape the glass into a symmetrical bullet point. Now I'm going to heat that up, and we'll put the starter bubble in there. Okay. Trap a little carbon dioxide in there, and the heat will expand the carbon dioxide, and it will blow a bubble for me. You can see the bubble there. I waited till it got a little bigger than the pipe. And now I'm going to roll that bubble down. And you can see we have a starter bubble in there. And again, that was blown by what they call cap and blow. Cap a little carbon dioxide in the pipe. The gas with carbon dioxide is heated by the heat of the glass, and it expands the carbon dioxide and blows the bubble for you. These are called jacks. I use the back of it to cool the tip. I'm just preparing it to gather a little bit more glass over this. So I'm going to go back in the furnace and add glass to this, put what we call a second gather of glass. Let most of it drip off. And I'm going to show you again steam pad. You can use the steam pad to move this glass from off the pipe out to the end and shape it. Okay, so now we have enough glass to make our piece, but we're going to use the marber table to shape it up. And we'll heat it back up, and we'll start that bubble at the top and put what we call a jack or a neckline in there. Now I'm going to let gravity stretch it down. Just push it down and the bubble stretches. And I'll take the jacks up just below the top of the pipe. Relatively simple to sharpen up that jack line or constrict it more. I'm going to blow this bubble up just a little bit more, and then we're going to put a crackle technique in it. I'll heat that up, and again I'll cool the tip. You see we've got that blown up just a little bit more. Now I'm going to put what we call a crackle technique in there. I'm going to heat the bubble up really hot, and then I'm going to get it and dunk it into some water, and then immediately blow the bubble. Out of the furnace, gather just a little bit of glass, and then I'll just let that drip down onto the table. And I'm going to take my bubble and try to get it on the center of that. And there we have what's called a drop or a cookie foot. It's called a drop foot because you drop some glass on the marver table. And it's called a cookie foot because it looks kind of like when you're baking cookies. So now for this foot, there's lots of different things we can do. I'm going to take a hook and I'm going to actually pull this foot up 4 different places, and then pull it back down, and give a very decorative little effect to that. Then I'm going to take it and put it in the glory hole directly in front of the burner, deep. So I apply equal heat to it. And I'm going to hang this up now, and then I'll prepare a punty, or a solid rod with some glass on the tip. The trick there is to try to get it right on the center of the bottom of your piece. Get it to attach hot enough so it sticks. We'll cool down this top or jack line so that the piece will break on the jack line. Okay, so the bottom of our piece is done now, and the challenge that we have is to maintain enough heat in the punty so that the piece doesn't fall off, but yet not get it so hot so the piece falls off center or actually drips onto the floor. We'll open this up some, the jacks. And so we have the piece now opened up to a more of a cup shape. Candy dish is what we're after, so what we're going to do is give a little bit more room here by opening the doors of the glory hole. And we're going to heat it up and open it by centrifugal force. See, it's opening now by itself. We get a little bit hotter and then spin it out really good here. We'll make this into kind of like a stop and let that, every time I stop, it lets that side kind of collapse. It gives a little form. Again, we're doing a kind of a free-form shaped candy dish. And there's the finished product. Okay, all that we have to do now is get it off of this punty rod. So first I'm going to heat the punty rod a little bit. What I want to break is actually the glass part of the punty. As piece and is connected to the rod. So we'll give it a quick reheat for the entire piece. You just run in there and give it a 1 second flash to even out the heat. And then I'll just hold that right there. I'm touching these tweezers, and of course the tweezers are very cold compared to the glass, and I'm chilling that little portion of glass. It's just before the punching rod. We'll go over here to our annealing oven. It's currently at 900 degrees. Just go in there, set it in, give it a little tap, falls right off. Now that will stay in there for a period of about 14 hours. Well, that's the completion of our demonstration, and I do demonstrations by appointment. You can call me and I do groups or homeschool groups, any kind of group that you have that would enjoy watching a demonstration.
Thanks for watching. Please visit the Corona Heritage Park and Museum for the history, art, and culture of Corona, California. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube to watch out for our next segment. I'm Diana Rogers, and I love Corona.